What's up, everybody? This is Jamrinder Singh, and this is a must listen episode. So, in this lesson, I'm gonna show you what I taught you recently, and I'm gonna show you with a real example, basically, a real audio, so you can see how people use this kind of stuff I taught you recently in a real conversation. So you won't find this kind of stuff in textbook at all, right? Because this is the colloquial words, colloquial sentences, and it doesn't exist in textbook, right? But people use it all the time. Today, I'm gonna give you some real exposure of Punjabi language, all right? So recently, we were like talking about the verbs, how verb changes in the past, in the future, all right. We didn't talk about future yet, but only we talked about a past, how we the verb did. All right. So basically, now I'm gonna take an example when people are using the past tense in a real situation. All right. So this video I'm gonna play, basically this is gonna be audio for you. This is the audio about a cheap family, right? What is the meaning of cheap family? It's the family, there are a couple of family, they just don't want to spend money at all, right? They're so cheap, like even they can afford it, but they don't want to spend it even like for their kids, right? So that's the so funny thing. There are a lot of family, I think, everywhere, these kind of family who didn't like yeah, it makes sense if somebody is frugal. It makes sense you spend money on only those things who really matter to you, like who really bring something to you, right? You don't waste money. But some people are just cheap. They just don't want to spend money on things. If they have to spend, they just pick a cheap thing or low quality thing, right? So those kind of people. So this audio I'm gonna play, this audio represent those people, so they just make a funny video about it, right? So that's what I'm gonna play this video. First, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just play the whole audio. You just listen and try to understand. After that, I'm gonna explain it step by step. All right? ਕਿਉਂ ਪੀਤੀ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਤੂੰ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਪੀਣ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੀ ਜੀ ਪੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਨਾਲੇ ਪੀਣ ਖਾਤਰ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਫਰੂਟੀਆਂ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਪੀ ਗਏ ਉਤੋਂ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਕੁੱਟਣਾ ਹੀ ਯਾਰ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਕੱਲ ਸਾਰੀ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਪੀ ਗਈ ਇਹ ਮਗਰੋਂ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਹਾਂ ਕੌਣ ਲੈ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਮੈਂ ਲੈ ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣੇ ਉਹ ਤੇਰੇ ਸਹੁਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੇ ਰੱਖੀ ਸੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਪੀ ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰਾ ਖੜਾ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਲਿਆਈ ਕਿਉਂ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਖਾਤਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਤੂੰ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਲਿਆਈ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਤੂੰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਇਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਊਗਾ all right, so this is the funny video I'm gonna explain. All right, so let's start it from the beginning, step by step. He said kyon piti fruity tu. All right, so what you learn from this sentence, right? The first thing you learn, he didn't follow the grammar structure, right? He said kyon piti fruity tu, right? Tu is a pronoun which is mostly we use at the beginning, right? But he put at the last. I also talked many times about this. We don't follow the grammar structure, right? So he put at the end, right? Why he did that? Because it's just flow. What the flow? He just thinking. He just said it, and then he just put it at the end, right? That's how we do. All right. First of all, then he said, "Fruity kyon piti tu," right? You also notice he used piti. I also talked about recent lessons when I was talking about how verb change in past, right? So what does it mean when he says kyon piti fruity tu? It means like why did you drink the fruity? All right, why did you do that? Why did you drink the fruity? He is angry on this little girl, right? Because she drank the fruity. Now he said kyon piti fruity tu, right? Fruity tu kyon piti, right? Kyon piti, did you notice he used piti? I already talked about the verb is pina, is in the past is pita, all right, or piti, depends. Now the fruity is feminine, that's why he's a piti, all right. If it's masculine, if you're talking about dod, something like that, the milk is masculine, and then he's a the pita, something like that, right? So what you learn from this first sentence, you learn is, first of all, he wasn't following the grammar structure, so you don't need to worry about much the grammar structure, all right. The second thing is the way he used the verb. I was recently in recent beginner lesson, I was talking about those things, all right. So pina is going to be past pita or piti, it depends what the object you are talking about, right? He used piti because he's talking about fruity, all right. That's how it is. So that's what you learn. You learn the verb, how it's being used in past. The verb is pina, is how it's being used in past, all right. So let's move on. Then he said, "Tainu kine kiha si fruity peen nu," right? Kine kiha si. So kine means who, right? In text was kisne. Tainu kine kiha si fruity peen nu, like who told you to drink the fruity, right? He is angry on that girl. He said, "Who told you to drink this fruity?" Right? Tainu kine kiha si. Again, kiha. Kiha is a basically past verb of kaina, right? Kaina means like a say or told, all right? Kaina means say or tell. So in past it's keha. Then kene keha si fruity pinu, right? Who told you to drink this fruity? That's what he was saying. She said, "मैं तो थोड़ी जी पीती सी." Again, she is using the verb मैं ता थोड़ी जी piti si. So here you also have a couple of things to learn from this little girl's sentence. Even she is little, but she is fluent. And the thing he or she is using, you would know, मैं ता थोड़ी जी पीती सी. All right. So if somebody would be a non-native speaker, he would say मैं थोड़ी पीती सी. All right. Or he would say मैं थोड़ी fruity पीती सी. All right. She made a so short. He didn't mention fruity. She didn't mention fruity because she already know they were talking about fruity, right? She said "Maita thodi ji piti si." The thing is what she used, which is really makes us a native speaker. She said "मैं," then she used "ta," which is most of native, not most, maybe every Punjabi learner don't do that, right? "मैं ta," right? Then say thodi ji, we use G, right? With thodi ji. Now she's not putting a respect on fruity, right? This is our style, right? She said मैं ता थोड़ी जी पीती सी. It means I drink a little bit, right? Little bit. So again, the two things you need to like pay attention, she used, which is really, you can call it filler words, which makes you really you're like basically you're speaking really natural, right? मैं ता, the word is ta and ji, all right? मैं ता थोड़ी जी पीती सी. If there would be a non-native speaker, they would say मैं थोड़ी fruity पीती सी. मैं थोड़ी fruity पीती सी, all right? So that sounds a little bit weird and unnatural when you say मैं तो थोड़ी जी पीती सी, right? That's what is more natural. So you need to learn these ones if you want to make your sentences more natural. Another thing, like if it's too hard for you, at least you can learn them while listening. Basically, you don't confuse what they're talking about. What is the meaning of ta and ji? Is she is putting a respect? No, she's not putting respect. It's just of a style, right? So it means she drink little bit. So anyway, let's play. He said, ਉਹ ਪੀਣ ਖਾਤਰ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਫਰੂਟੀਆਂ ਪੀ ਗਈ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ, right? ਪੀਣ ਖਾਤਰ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ. ਖਾਤਰ here means ਲਈ, right? You would see in the textbook ਲਈ. Even some people also use ਲਈ. Khatar means also. It means for. He was asking, did we bring that fruity to drink? That's what he was saying, right? Basically, he is just being sarcastic and angry on her because she was not supposed to drink that fruity, but she did it. He is angry on her, right? Now, why he is angry on her, we don't know yet. We know she drink a fruity, but it didn't make sense. If she drink a fruity, what's a big deal? Why, like he basically, when you bring this kind of stuff, a cold drink, whatever fruity stuff like that, we bring it to drink, right? So here, so far, we don't we know he is angry on her because she drank the fruity, but we didn't understand yet like why, like fruit is for drinking, right? So we will learn why he's angry on that little girl. So let's listen more. All right, then there's another guy come, maybe his like a big brother. He said ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, what happened? He said what happened, ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟੀ ਜਾਣਾਗਾ, right? ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟੀ ਜਾਣਾਗਾ. Now this is a really good sentence, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟੀ ਜਾਣਾਗਾ, right? So in textbook it's going to be ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ, right? ਤੂੰ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੁੱਟ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ, right? We don't say that, man, we don't say that. ਇਹ ਸੇ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਤੂੰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟੀ ਜਾ, right? ਇਹਨੂੰ means ਇਸ ਨੂੰ, right? Isnu means he just like telling him, and he was also like indicating his hand to that girl. He like just also basically this is a video anyway. So he was saying ਤੂੰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੁੱਟੀ ਜਾਣਾਗਾ, right? ਇਹਨੂੰ, right? ਕੁੱਟੀ ਜਾਣਾਗਾ. Again he used a ਕੁੱਟੀ. ਕੁੱਟਣਾ means beat. Why you are beating her, right? He used janaga, kutti janaga. Again, I also make couple of podcasts when we make a continuous tense. We don't use reha ha or rahi. He didn't use like a tum isnu kyon kot raha ha, right? So tusi isnu kyon kot rahi ho. We don't say that rahi ho, stuff like that. We don't use tusi because he don't need to use tusi. He's talking about maybe his brother, maybe his friend. We don't use that. He said, "तू इन्हें क्या कुट्टी जानागा, right? जानागा, कुट्टी जानागा." That's how we say, मैं काम करी, I'm working, मैं काम करी जानागा, I'm watching TV, मैं TV देखी जानागा, right? So in verb that time stuff we say देखी जानागा, खेडी जानागा. Now he is कुट्टी जानागा. It means why are you beating her, right? That's the कुट्टी जानागा, all right? He said ਕੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ, ਸਾਰੀ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਪੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ, right? He said he buy a fruit yesterday but she drank all of it, right? Now he is giving the reason why he's angry on this girl, why he's beating on to this girl. That's the reason he's telling him, right? ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ, all right? ਲਿਆਉਣਾ means bring. Now here he didn't use like a buy means ਖਰੀਦਣਾ. He didn't use ਖਰੀਦਿਆ, ਮੈਂ ਕੱਲ ਇੱਕ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਖਰੀਦੀ ਸੀ. We use it very rarely. We just use ਲਿਆਂਦੀ, alright? ਕੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਸੀ, right? It means yesterday I brought a fruity or I buy a fruity, whatever, right? ਸਾਰੀ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਪੀ. ਚੱਕ ਕੇ means ਚੱਕਣਾ means pick up, right? Or lift something. He said ਸਾਰੀ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਪੀ ਗਈ. It means she left her, like he pick up the fruity first, then she drank it. He used two verbs. First she pick up the fruity, then she drink it. We use these kind of verbs a lot, like a chakke pigi. मैं जाके आया. जाके आया means I went there, now come back. जाके आया, right? Or मैं TV देख के हटिया. TV देख के हटिया. It means I watched the TV, now I just finished it. Now I'm not watching, but I just finished the activity. We use these kind of two verbs. Basically we explain two activities in one sentence, all right? So that's what he was saying. So other guy asked fruity, he little like a shocked, like a fruity kaun le aaya si? He said who bring the fruity or who bought the fruity? Then he said main le aaya si. The other guy said main le aaya si, I bought it or I bring it. He said ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ, ਤੇਰੇ ਸਹੁਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਆਉਣਾ, right? ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ. So he like he was saying like didn't, like not didn't, he said won't our relatives come tomorrow, like, right? Because their relatives are going to come tomorrow, right? So that's why he bought this fruity, right? Tere soren, it means, so the guy he's talking to, he was talking about the relatives. Basically, his law family is going to come tomorrow. That's why he bought fruity. All right. Now it makes sense why he is angry on girl, because he bought that fruity to give to relatives because they are coming tomorrow. But this fruity drink by a girl, a little girl, so he is angry on her, right? It shows you because how cheap they are, right? Because they just bought it for relatives, but it drank by their little girl. Now they're angry on her because probably he had to buy more to their for their relatives, right? So basically this is one family. Maybe this guy is just there is a three character in this video. One is a little girl, two guys. Basically these two guys are like a brother, right? So anyway, let's listen more. So that's more funny. Now his brother, he is more cheaper than this guy. He said, "Tu mere sale," right? So mere sale he used as a cuss word, right? This is a little bit cuss word. Tu mere sale fruity liai kyon? Right now, this guy is angry on this other guy. Like, why the fuck you bought this fruity, right? Because this guy is more cheap guy than his brother, because his brother is cheap because he bought a fruity for relatives, but he didn't like it when the little girl drinking and he was angry on this guy, his big brother or his older brother. He is more cheap guy and now he's angry on him, like, why the fuck you bought the fruity even for relatives? You don't need to spend money to bring these kind of stuff to give to your relatives. So it is representing a family who is cheap family, all right? He said, like a मेरा साला तू fruity ले आई क्यों, right? ले आया ही क्यों, right? It means I already said why the fuck you bought it at the beginning, right? At the first place, why the fuck you bought it? Then he said मैं था then the other guy said मैं था रिश्तेदारां खातर ले आया सी, like I bought it for relatives, right? Now khatar, right? Khatar means lay, like it means for. Like I was, if I buy something, I say मैं तेरे खातर ले आया, right? मैं तेरे खातर coffee ले आया. It means I bought a coffee for you, or I bring a coffee for you, right? Khatar means for. Yeah, a lot of people use lay. Lay is more kind of like, you can say, a formal, or in my area we use both actually. No, we don't use. Actually, we use baste. In my area, we use baste. Some people use lay. Some people use khatar. In my area where I live, in my same village, some people also use khatar. All right, but also most of the people we use vaste. And these guys, they are also from. This video is also from my area. They are just maybe 40 minutes away from me, whatever their village. But you can expect like a different, but you can expect like a little bit different word choice if you visit, like if I go like a 1 hour or 40 minutes away from my village. In other words, I can notice there's some words they have different choice. All right, khatar, vaste and lay, it means for, right? He said मैं तो रिश्तेदार खातर ले आया सी, right? I bought it for रिश्तेदार. All right, keep in mind khatar, vaste and lay is same thing, which means for, right? All right, he says ਸਾਲੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਲਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਤੂੰ ਫਰੂਟੀ ਲਿਆਏ ਹੀ ਕਿਉਂ, right? Now this guy is angry on his will, like, why the fuck you bought it, this fruity, like ਸਾਲਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ. He is angry, right? This is just way of expressing the curse word, right? Then he said pan dena, right? So he used the curse word. This is not like a strong, he didn't use much more, he just said pan dena. All right, so this is a normal curse word. Basically you don't use it full, you just use it and other people can know it. You're meant to be using curse word, but you are not using it. He said pen dina, right? Then he said what he said. I forgot. One second. Let me play it again. All right. He said ਭੈਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੂੰ ਕਰਿਆ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ, right? ਤੂੰ ਕਰਿਆ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ, ਤੇਰਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਸੀ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਦਾ, right? So he is angry on his brother, like why the fuck you bought this fruity, right? Like ਤੂੰ ਕਰਿਆ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ, it means you basically, ਨੁਕਸਾਨ means just here is basically a damage, you can say damage, or there's also another word I'm thinking about. What's another word? Loss, right? You made this loss because they spend the money and they lose the money. That's the loss, right? He was saying you like make this loss, right? Tera matlab hi ki si ਇਹ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਦਾ, like why the fuck you bought it, right? Right? Because they didn't mean it's like you shouldn't be like buying this fruity. That's what it means, all right? So that's how it was, this video. So anyway, you can learn from this little video. I explained it go 20 minutes, more than 20 minutes now. So it was just representing of that video of cheap people. Another thing you will learn from this video, the way we use. One thing I was talking about recently, how we use the verbs in past. You can also notice how they were using the verbs in past. All right, because this story was past. What they were like a fighting on one thing, on like a basically he buy a fruity which was in a past activity. They were talking about past, so you can also learn how they were using in past. You will also learn how they were expressing themselves in angry mood. You would also notice how we use the filler word. If you notice on the girl, how she was using like मैं ਤਾਂ थोड़ी जी पीती right, ਤਾਂ and जी. So I also explained that one. You also notice how we use the words, just different word choice. He was using khatar, which did not exist, I think, in textbook. It's only lay in textbook. Another thing he was using like a tum kyun kutti jana, kutti me kutna means basically kutna means a beat. When you beat somebody, that's kutna, right? So kutti jana, it means beating, like why you are beating her, right? He's used it in continuous tense. And you don't find it in textbook. In textbook is tu kya kut raha ha, and nobody used that one, right? So that's why you need a real Punjabi to listen, to learn from that. That's why I'm here making these kind of podcasts for you, all right? So, if you think you are getting the value from this podcast and you want to support this podcast, you can support it through PayPal or Patreon. Links are in the description. Everything will be appreciated. If you are not able to support this podcast, then you can give it to 5-star if you're listening it on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Because if you give this podcast to 5-star, then Apple Podcast or Spotify recommend this podcast to the more people. So it would also help this podcast to grow more. At the end, if you want to learn about Punjabi pronouns, then check out my ebook. Link is in the description. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson and learned something new today. I'll be back with another lesson in another day.